Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a lot of information to share with you. Before we share that information, I'd like to have everyone on the call introduce themselves. I'm Kyle Hosier. I'm the principal. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Hi, I'm Mary Rose Joseph, assistant principal. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Dan Schuckett. I'm a social studies teacher and co-coordinator of the Senior Options Program.
Hi, I'm Michelle Merlini. I am the senior class advisor. I also teach 8th grade STEAM.
Hi, I'm Molly Earl. I'm an English teacher and also a co-coordinator of the Senior Options Program.
Thank you. So I think it's an understatement to say that the year that we've had is not the year that we wanted for our seniors, and I'm sure it's not the year that you pictured as parents. With that said, we are really excited about some of the end of year opportunities that our seniors have, and we want to take a little time to overview those. We know also that there are, of course, concerns around health and safety, so we want to talk about those as well. And please know that as we talk about what these events look like, everything is based currently on where we are with the New York State Department of Health. It feels like things change daily. The good news is that when things change, it's based on the fact that while we're not out of the pandemic, things are going much better than they had been. More people are getting the vaccine. COVID rates are being reduced. So this is all good news, and we're optimistic that things will continue to improve for the remainder of the year. So tonight you're going to hear about Senior Olympics. You're going to hear about Senior Forum, which we're looking at a trip to Six Flags. Talk a little bit about Yearbook, Senior Options. We know that there's a lot of questions around Senior Options, prom and graduation. And in the link that you use to join this meeting on YouTube, there's also a Google form there. Please use that Google form to submit questions. Our hope is to answer most of the questions that you might have during this presentation. So you're welcome to post questions now, or you can wait and post questions at the end. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Merlini to talk a little bit about Senior Olympics.
Hello, everybody. How are you? The first initiative that we got kicked off last week was Senior Olympics. This is a senior-only event. It was kind of like a way to my class officers and I worked on to try to get the kids excited and to work together and to try to do some fun things. The class officers and I put all of these different events together. It's group and individual activities. They're required to follow health and safety guidelines and follow the student code of conduct at all times. And we've had our first week, and I've gotten comments like some students have said that I'm seeing my friends for the first time, and they can't wait to see what next week's activities are. So on the next slide, there's a few pictures of what the kids have been doing. Last week, they had to go on a hike. They had to make a vegan meal for their family. They had to make a sandwich that looked like themselves or somebody they knew. So the students were very creative and really took these challenges on quite well. And I'm very happy that they enjoyed themselves. The next topic I'd like to discuss is Senior Forum, which is going to be Six Flags. We're planning on attending Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey on Friday, April 30th. We're planning to leave school around 8:30 a.m. and returning by 9 p.m. The plan is to have the students complete the Easy Screen app as they normally would if they were coming to school. We'll also be taking temperatures at school before they board the buses. We'll be seating the buses one student per seat on the bus, similarly to the way that we've been handling sports and just spacing the students out appropriately so that we're distancing. Students will be wearing a mask on the bus. They'll be masking through the park as well. That is a Six Flags requirement. Students will also be having their temperatures checked before we even get into Six Flags. They'll be doing that when we get to the park as well, which is why we felt it important that we check temperatures before we board the bus as well. We are having lunch served to the students at Six Flags in a separate pavilion, open field, students spaced, separate from the general public. We thought this was a nice option for the students, and they will be on their own for dinner, kind of like as the park is closing, wrapping it up. Students can eat before they board the bus or can bring food back on the bus. So for the ride home, the cost is about $63 per student. And I really appreciate the PTSA for their generous support of this initiative. I think the kids are going to have a wonderful time. It's a little bit different than we were planning for Boundless Adventures in the fall, where we were doing staggered activities for the students, but they were never together as a whole grade. And in this park, it's a huge, huge park, and the students will be together in this huge outdoor arena for the entire day. So we thought that this was a really great opportunity for them. And the third topic for me is senior yearbooks. Unlike last year, our yearbooks are right on schedule. We're not going to have any delay in distribution. We're planning on having a sort of distribution day on Monday, June 14th, which is after senior options are over. So it won't conflict with anything that they're doing for senior options. And we're going to provide an opportunity for students to have their yearbook signed together as a group, hopefully on Blandford Field or something like that, but we're still working out these details. I'm going to pass it over now to Mr. Schuckett and Ms. Earl to talk about senior options.
Thanks, Ms. Merlini. So we're fortunate that we're going to have senior options again this year. Last year was tricky. We weren't sure how it was going to work out, but actually it worked out. It exceeded expectations. So we're excited about running it again this year. Even though it's called senior options, it's not optional. Every senior has to participate. The option piece of it comes with what the students may choose to do. So the last day of classes for students this year will be May 14th, which is a Friday. And then senior options begins on Monday, May 17th. It'll run for 4 weeks, ending on June 11th. And then on June 14th, they'll have yearbook day, which is all great. It should be wonderful for the seniors this year. The expectations for senior options are that they put in 30 hours of work a week, which is the equivalent of a school day times 5. And they get to choose between 3 categories of options. Many students choose to work in internships. This year, we are still finding out what's available, if internships will be remote or if they'll be in person or some combination. Students will also be able to have creative projects. We've had, in the past, we've had shows, we've had kids create pieces of art, make music recordings, things like that, write fiction, poetry, short stories. And the third option is some sort of academic pursuit. We have kids that learn languages. We have kids that want to take a deep dive into some academic endeavor. They write papers, all kinds of interesting things. Every student will have a faculty mentor. Students will meet with their mentor once a week, which is one of the requirements. The other requirement is that students keep a daily journal. They submit that journal and their mentor goes over that with them throughout the week. And senior options, they don't receive a grade, but it is pass-fail. And if you do all the things you're supposed to do, keep your journal, finish your project, and then show up for presentations. That's the third piece, is seniors make a presentation between June 15th and June 17th, you'll pass. If you have any questions about the program, we have a dedicated email, which is senioroptions@edgemont.org. So you can reach myself or Miss Earl there if you have questions about the program. And if you have other questions, obviously you can write them in the chat and we'll take those later in the presentation. And now back to Mr. Hosier.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Duckett. Before we move on, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Victoria Newell.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I was a few minutes late. Great to hear all of the senior events and to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're happy to report that we are in the midst of planning for the senior prom. It will be held at Glen Island Harbor Club in New Rochelle on June 18th at 6 p.m. The site does have some requirements, some safety requirements. One is that students, anyone who's there needs to take a COVID test and they need to have a negative result. A rapid test can be taken within 6 hours of the event or a PCR within 72 hours. Right now, given the restrictions, they are not allowing any more than 150 people at the location at any one time. We expect that that number will increase given the fact that social gatherings will increase to up to 200 later in the month. So we feel optimistic that we'll be able to have all of our seniors there on June 18th. With that said, we want to prioritize making sure that all the seniors can be there, which means that this would be seniors only. We wouldn't have guests and we wouldn't have underclassmen. Now, all of this again is based on what we currently know from the New York State Department of Health. If those numbers change, we will continue to look at our approach, but we want to make sure that all of the seniors who want to go have an opportunity to go. And we're really excited about this event. I know earlier in the year, there was a sense from seniors that we wouldn't have a prom, and they were really happy to hear that this will happen later in June. One of the issues that we do need to figure out is around transportation. You may know that typically we hold an event before prom on campus, and then seniors take a bus to the prom location. Transportation is very expensive when we can only have one student per seat. So we're not sure how we want to handle buses this year. It's possible that we might have buses. We may come up with a different plan, knowing that we have so much time and things change almost daily. We think it makes more sense to focus on Six Flags, and then as we have more information, we'll be able to update you regarding transportation. But please know we're going to continue to plan for prom and meet with senior class officers on a regular basis. Next, we'd like to talk a little bit about graduation. We're excited to report that graduation will be held on campus in person at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, January 24th. The plan is to have it in the center of campus like we would in a traditional year. Beginning on March 22nd, the New York State Department of Health will increase social gatherings to 200 people. We're optimistic that that number will continue to grow given the positive news that we keep hearing. But for right now, we are planning on a graduation of 200. So what that means is we would have to decide whether all seniors would want to be together, or if we do multiple waves of graduation where guests and family members could be able to attend. If that 200 number increases, obviously as that number increases, our options increase greatly. Our hope is to have many more people on campus with every senior and make it feel like a more traditional graduation. If that doesn't happen, please know that we are prepared to have a live stream so that anyone who couldn't be on campus is able to see the entire event, no matter where you live. And in some ways, if you have family members across the country, it'd be nice to have that option. So with prom and with graduation, knowing that we still have 2 months before the events will be held, we do expect guidance to change, but we are in a much better place this year than we were this time last year. So we're looking forward to all of these events. At this point, we'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have. As a reminder, I shared a Google Doc that had the link to the YouTube account and then had a link for a Google form where you can ask questions. So if you do have questions that we weren't able to answer, please ask those questions. The more questions you have that we can answer, the better. It helps us also think through our plans. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And Ms. Joseph, would you like to read the first question?
Sure. We only have one question so far, so please ask your questions if you have any. So the first question is about prom. If there is a prom, will the guests be only the senior class of 2021?
Yes, and again, based on limitations at the venue, we would only be able to have seniors at the event. If the number is between 150 or 200, we want to make sure all of our seniors can go to prom. If they change that number, we will look at the idea of allowing other students, but for now, given the information we have, it would be seniors only, and we're excited to have an opportunity for all seniors to get together.
If you have any questions, this is the time.
We'll give everyone another minute just to see if any other questions come through.
Yes. Is there a rain date for Great Adventure?
Ms. Merlini, would you like to take that?
As of right now, we don't have one. Six Flags opens, you know, in weather even like today. What they'll do is they'll just close rides. And I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but in an amusement park, you know, there'll be clouds that cover and rain for a little bit, and then an hour later, they'll reopen a few of the rides. So we're not planning on having a rain date, only, and also because senior options, AP exams start the following week. So there's very little time for us to even to plan a rain date at that point. So we're all in on the 30th.
Thanks, Ms. Merlini. This is about senior options. If a student wants to do an internship for senior options, does he or she have to secure that on their own?
It's a great question. Not necessarily. We anticipate having a list of internships. We've been running the program for a while, and many of the internships come back every year and host Edgemont students. We're in the process of gathering that list together. We expect it might be a little different this year because of COVID. But at the same time, we encourage students and families to look and try to find internships on their own. That being said, we often are helpful. How many every year? It depends. We may come up with between 12 and 20 placements for our students, and every year is a little bit different. So we can help, but students and families should also look on their own.
Thanks, Mr. Schuckett. The next one is about senior options as well. Do students get to choose who their advisors are, and what is the role of the advisor? How will they help them figure out what project to do?
Another good question. We try to match students with advisors, with mentors. We send out, we're going to send out a survey to the students and to the teachers to try to match them up. There are teachers who've been working with students on things over the years. There are kids who have good relations and really want to have a certain teacher as their mentor. And we try to make those matches happen when we can. Was there a second part there that I didn't answer to that, Ms. Joseph?
Yeah, it was about how do advisors help them choose what they want?
Yes. Well, that's the special sauce. We work with the kids to try to guide them to finding something that's going to be meaningful for them. And we're pretty good at that. That's what teachers do. We talk with kids about what's important, what their expectations are, and we try to guide them along and choose a project that's going to be workable. They think, oh, 4 weeks, I can accomplish, you know, you're not going to write the great American novel in 4 weeks, but you could write a short story. So we try to make it something that they're going to be successful with as well. And that's process. That takes a few meetings generally.
Thank you. This is about Six Flags.
Oh, Ms. Earl wants to chime in there. That's good.
I'm unmuted. I keep thinking I'm unmuted. I'm so sorry. I would just add that we do set up an early meeting where essentially the mentor and the student get together for the first time way before the actual project starts, or at least I think a few weeks before the project starts, so that they can, share what the student has been thinking about, maybe kick around a few different ideas. And so, before the actual, process begins where the student is on their own working, they start that conversation. And so we do have sort of meetings set up, that initial meeting, and then usually the first meeting that mentors will have with a student, they'll start to kind of see how things are going and guide them. It really is mostly conversation, and also the teachers will reach out to the internship, whatever the internship might be, or to the parent, just to see how things are going periodically, in case students are running into issues with anything.
Thank you, Ms. Earl. This is about the Six Flags trip. They may have missed it because we discussed this, but it merits answering it again. How will students get to Six Flags on the day of the trip?
So the students are going to be taking coach buses. So the coach buses have a functioning bathroom in it, but the students will be sitting spaced as we have been for athletic events. I think we use a number of 25 per student per bus. So that's really just having one student in every seat, alternating, left, right, so that they're not sitting together, unless of course they're siblings, and then they can sit next to each other, obviously. So yeah, that's how we're going. It's a little comfortable, and it's such a long ride, we felt the need for having a restroom on the bus as well, with masks on, by the way.
Thanks, Ms. Merlini. This is regarding the yearbook. Are there any more opportunities available to submit more pictures for the yearbook?
Mr. you want to take that?
Yeah, so our deadline for then and now pictures has passed, but we're always willing to take more. So if senior parents were still working on getting pictures taken, it was done a little different this year, where normally the yearbook staff would take the now picture, and because everybody's not on campus, we really couldn't do that. So I understand that it might have been more difficult for you to get the now picture retaken. So I'm certainly happy to accept additional photos if you have them. And you send them to me by using the HJ eShare link that I sent. And it's a very easy way. You upload your photos there, put the students' names in it, and I'll receive it the next morning.
Thank you. Do seniors need to get COVID tested for prom, even if they're vaccinated?
Really good question. So part of the testing requirement is based on what the venue requires. And I don't know for sure what they require related to students who have had the vaccine. So I think we'd have to get back to people with an answer on that.
Yeah, I did ask that.
Great question.
I did ask that question, and as long as we have evidence that they have gotten the vaccine, then I think that that's going to suffice as their evidence that they wouldn't need a negative test if they have the vaccine. So it would still be evidence-based. And that's from the venue. So they're going to ask somebody to show them that they have the vaccine or they have a negative test.
Thank you. This is regarding senior options. Can students choose their faculty mentor, or are they assigned to them randomly?
Mr. Shuket?
Sure. We try to match up. We ask students to prioritize, their top 3 teachers. And we try to make matches where we can. Sometimes kids don't choose anyone and they just get randomly assigned. We do our best to make everyone as happy as possible, but they may not get their first choice. They might get their second choice or third. We try to make matches.
So now we move to graduation. This question is about attendees for graduation. Are parents allowed to attend if they all spread out, bring their own chair, sit on the football field to watch? What's possible for graduation?
Graduation will be held in the courtyard. We thought about Blandford Field. Because of the turf, we actually can't have chairs on the field down there, so that limits our options a little bit. It's certainly our hope to be able to have parents at graduation. as we get a little bit closer and we know what the limit will be, we will know more about who can be there, and we will talk with seniors to decide if we do have to limit, how we want to limit graduation at that point. But if we made a plan now, we will get 2 or 3 updates between now and when we actually need to implement the plan.
When will the yearbook be distributed?
The plan is for Monday, June 14th for seniors, and then underclassmen and everybody else will be getting it after that. And we're hoping to offer an opportunity for seniors to have yearbook signing on that day as well.
Is there a way for parents to make donations that can go towards fundraising senior events?
Dr. Newell, would you like to take that?
Sure, thank you. Yes, there's always an opportunity for parents to make donations to the school district, and it can be targeted to the senior event. So yes, parents can make donations, and we can supply a letter that the donation has been made.
And again, I just want to plug the PTSA. The generous support is making so this Six Flags trip can happen. Just want to thank everyone who's part of the PTSA and know that your contributions do make a big difference. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Just can we restate the dates for senior options, just so parents know exactly when it begins and ends?
Mr. Shuckett, would you like to?
Sure. We begin on May 17th. I think I have to keep looking back. It's so hard to keep anything in.
You're right, 17th.
May 17th, and we end on June 11th. Yes. So it's
You
4
passed the
weeks.
test.
It's 4 weeks, and there's Memorial Days in there too.
Can parents act as a mentor for senior options?
No, sadly. Parents can help their students, but parents cannot mentor their own students.
Mr. Shuckett, it's true that if a parent wanted to mentor someone else, or if they wanted to sponsor someone, is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's happened before. I mean, thankfully, we have lots of parents in the community that step in and sponsor kids for internships. And that's great. We love that. We encourage that. But parents can't mentor their own kids. And while we're on the subject of internships, because this is something that does come up from time to time, these internships have to be unpaid. Sometimes what happens is kids get to these internships and they're wonderful and people want to pay them. And we say, you can't pay them. But sometimes the internships turn into jobs. And we say, that's great. If you want to pay them, hire them over the summer. And that happens sometimes. So that's a wonderful thing.
This is regarding senior options again. Is there an approval process for what type of project a student selects?
There is. Mr. Earl, do you want to talk about this at all?
I'll just say this is my first year as the co-coordinator, so I'm hoping I've done the advising for years, but I hope I get this right. Yeah, students need to write a proposal. They need to submit the proposal describing what they're going to be doing, what the product is going to be, what their timeline, what their schedule is going to look like every week, and then they need to keep track of that schedule once they get started. And we look at those proposals. If we have questions about them, we follow up with students. It's a process. It's a project that they're working on, and we all are going to sort of work with them to figure out a way to help them to kind of shape what they want to do into something that feels meaningful and feels like an interesting use of their time. And what I recall from previous years is that we sort of develop a sense of which kids are having really good, everything's all set, and then which kids need a little bit more guidance, and we kind of advise based on that. So yeah, it's a process.
And we do say no sometimes and make them go back to the drawing board,
Mhm.
and that's okay. But at the end of the day, everybody does something.
I would just say again, if people are interested in advising other students, or if you know of any interesting opportunities, reach out to us, let us know. Just so even if you can't advise your own child, that you can sort of do that for somebody else, that could be a really great thing.
Thank you. Thank you both. If the size of the graduation is limited and it stays at 200, is there a thought on whether the student body will decide or the administration will decide on how to break up the class and add visitors into the groups?
We recently sent seniors a survey, and again, based on the information they know now, they had to weigh in on whether they would want seniors or guests. And as luck would have it, it was almost 50-50. So it's in my mind, it's the seniors' graduation. So we would take input from all stakeholders, but we really want to try to put together what seniors want for their graduation.
This is regarding the yearbook. Is there a way to verify if they've sent in all the necessary pictures, baby photos, etc.? Is there a way to confirm that?
Well, baby photos are in and those pages are closed. So I guess you can't send those in anymore. I mean, the only verification I could do at this point is whether you ordered a yearbook or not. Just a reminder, there is a web page just for the senior class that I created. If you go to this, the Edgemont Junior Senior High School homepage, and then under activities, there's a subtopic called seniors, and everything that you need to know for senior year is there. All the dates, all the links to ordering a yearbook. I had the link for well-wisher ads there. And anything that comes up, I post up there for you and the seniors to check out. So
thank you. Some examples of past internships that have been successful for senior options.
Sure. We've had people working in hospitals in New York City. We've had people interning at the federal courthouse in Brooklyn. We've had people working in other schools, working with elementary school teachers, people working in professional situations, restaurants. It really runs the gamut. I mean, it really depends on what we have to offer and what we see every year. We had kids working with a facility that offered therapy for people using horses. All kinds of really interesting things. It really runs the gamut. And, like I said, this year, it might be a little more challenging with COVID. Last year, we had some internships that used to be live that were virtual, but kids were still doing really interesting work. And at least we know they're used to that now. They may not want to do that, but they may decide to do that because it's just such an interesting internship. So it really runs the gamut. We've had a little bit of everything. We've had people working with artists, you name it.
I was just speaking to somebody who worked at a nonprofit the other day, and they said that they routinely have students from around the region every spring. So other schools do this kind of thing. A lot of nonprofits, arts organizations. I've had students work for, theater companies, that kind of thing. So it's something that a lot of places already kind of have in place. Students are reaching out to those kind of things.
This is regarding the yearbook and the deadline for ordering. They haven't received emails yet. So is there a deadline for ordering yearbooks about that?
So the yearbook is sold until we run out of copies. So we have a preset number of yearbooks that we earmark. And so you would have only received an email if we were getting ready to sell out, which we haven't. So you can still order a yearbook. If, like I said, if you go to the senior page, you'll see a link to order a yearbook there. If you're not sure if you ordered one, you can shoot me an email and I will check for you.
Thank you. This is regarding COVID testing for senior prom. Will the school be organizing testing, facilitating testing, or is it up to the students to get the test outside of the school?
We haven't organized yet what testing would look like. Dr. Newell, do you want to weigh in on that at all?
So yes, so we have recently started surveillance testing at EHS. So that is something we can talk about as we come up with a plan on who needs to be tested, when, and we can work together on that.
Thank you. Is there an estimated cost for prom tickets?
Ms. Merlini, do you know that yet?
We don't, because, you know, the bus cost is a huge part of that. So if we're using buses, that has to be factored in. The senior class has raised a lot of money, so I don't expect, you know, we're very, very lucky because we signed a contract before COVID hit for a sit-down dinner. You know, plates are going to be put in front of students. There's no buffet. There's no shared utensils. We're in a very, very good position with this venue, and our cost is not high. I have colleagues that are trying to secure prom now, and the costs are outrageous. So we're in a very, very good spot. Prom will not be astronomical. I'd say probably no more than $125. But again, it's probably going to be less if we don't have buses. It'll be about that if we have buses.
And if anyone does have a financial need for any of the events that we're talking about, please send me an email. We do everything we can to support students. We wouldn't want to see a student miss out on any of the things that we're talking about because they didn't have the finances to do so. So if that's the case, please send me an email and we'll be able to help.
Thank you. This is regarding the yearbook and the well-wisher ads. It's twofold. The first one is it too late to send a well-wisher ad for the yearbook?
Yeah, that deadline has passed. I do have a little bit of space. I can't really open it up, but if you're really, you know, gung-ho and really want an ad, you can shoot me an email and I can see what I can work out. I have very little space left.
Regarding well-wisher ads, is there a way for parents to see the proofs of the ads before it's actually published and put in the yearbook?
So ads are done now through Herf Jones. So when the ad was submitted, all parent ads, you actually saw proof before you actually paid for it. So that's the proof process. You actually, you know, check it out, view it, see it, and submit, and then I get it. So other than that, that's the only proof process that we have.
That's it for the questions so far.
Great, we'll wait another minute and see if any other questions come in.
What is the plan for dinner and eating dinner at prom?
Ms. Merlini, would you like to take that based on your conversations with the venue?
Yeah, so, you know, we haven't picked the actual item. So prom starts at 6. It's going to be hors d'oeuvres. I don't know what that's going to look like in a COVID environment. It's normally, if you go to a wedding, it's past hors d'oeuvres, but I don't know how they're going to do that in this situation. But the nice thing about this prom is that we're already committed to a sit-down dinner. So they will come out with plates, with gloves on, plates put down in front of the student, and the student will have their own utensils. There'll be space. There won't be, you know, sitting, you know, 10 at a table. It'll probably be more like 6 or 8 at a table. And then the venue does have their restrictions on on the attendees when they're there as well. But we'll get more into that as we get closer.
The next question is, will the students be allowed to dance at prom?
Yeah, that's what I was sort of hinting at. So there are restrictions, like they were trying to explain to me that, you know, they have to keep like a cohort or a table can dance together, but they can't dance with the table on the other side of the room. And you know, the owner of the venue was trying to say, like, he doesn't know who's sitting at what table. So how is he going to manage that? So it's definitely a conversation that we have to continue to have. They're planning on opening up a separate space that's covered to allow us to expand a little bit more than being in the room that we're in, but we are in the largest room in Glen Island. I think the room fits 500. So if we're only 150, there's going to be plenty of space and plenty of room for everybody to sort of, you know, social distance and dance at the same time.
And the final question is, will kids be allowed, well, how would they scream when they go to Great Adventure? And the answer is with masks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask that question too. Like, I can imagine masks flying off. I mean, people lose their cell phones. I don't know how they're not gonna lose a mask. So I may have to carry extra masks in my backpack as I walk around and sort of, you know, give students extras as they come off a ride and don't have a mask anymore.
Miss Merlini, is it true that you're going to ride every roller coaster there? That's what seniors are saying.
Yeah, I ride every roller coaster except for King Ka. Any student that has had me knows that I rode King Ka once and I will never ride it again. I loved it, but I will never ride it again. Never.
So I think there is a lot of excitement. I met with a senior earlier today, and the senior was saying that just the difference since we met with seniors last week, because we had a similar conversation with them, there's a level of excitement that just didn't exist 2 weeks ago. We're really excited about these different events. We recognize there are some more details that we need to share with you once the information becomes available. Please know we will do that. Really looking forward to the remainder of the year. I would say what would be great is if we could get more seniors back on campus. If you're in a position where you feel comfortable having your child back, we think it'd be excellent. I can tell you that everyone on campus would love to have seniors back, the energy, the joy that they bring. So when the time is right, we're hoping that's sooner than later. We'd love to have more seniors come back. We're really looking forward to all the events that are scheduled for the remainder of the year. Thank you. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and thank you for everything. Have a good night.